There are moments in life when you stop and wonder, why does it feel like I don't belong here? You look around and everything seems familiar: the streets you walk, the faces you recognize, the air you breathe. And yet, deep inside, there's a longing, a restless ache that refuses to be silenced. No matter how much you try to fit in, no matter how hard you work, it feels as if the world is constantly pushing you away, refusing to accept you as you are. Have you ever felt like an outsider, even among those closest to you? Have you ever given your best, your love, your loyalty, your time, only to be met with rejection, betrayal, or indifference? Have you ever sat in a room full of people and felt completely alone? The world makes promises, whispering that if you work hard enough, if you love enough, if you give enough, you will finally find peace. And yet, the more you chase it, the further it drifts from your grasp. Why? Because, my friend, you were never made for this world. Think about it. Every time you achieve something, every time you finally get the recognition, the promotion, the approval, the success, you celebrate for a moment. But soon the emptiness returns. The joy fades. You are left searching for the next thing, the next goal, the next validation. And deep inside you wonder, is this all there is? But let me tell you something that will change the way you see everything. That longing inside of you is not a weakness. It is not an accident. It is the evidence that your soul belongs to something greater, something beyond this temporary world. You were never meant to find your fulfillment here. You were never meant to be satisfied by earthly things. You were created for something eternal, something beyond the reach of time and decay. And that is why the world will never understand you. Have you noticed how unfair life can be? How the most sincere hearts are the ones that get broken? How the most hard-working people often go unnoticed? How the ones who love the deepest are the ones who suffer the most? It doesn't make sense, does it? You pour your heart into others, but they take you for granted. You strive for excellence, but others manipulate and cheat their way to the top while you are left behind. You stand for truth, but the world seems to reward those who deceive. And after a while you start questioning, what is the point? Why do I even try? The world will tell you that you must adapt, that you must become selfish, become ruthless, play the game like everyone else. But no matter how much you try to change, something in you resists. Because unlike those who belong to this world, you were made for something beyond it. It is not a curse that you feel different. It is a sign. The way the world treats you is not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of the fact that you do not belong to it. The pain you carry, the loneliness you feel, the unfairness you endure, it is not because you are lacking. It is because you were never meant to be comfortable here. You were meant for eternity. Think about a traveler passing through a foreign land. He does not speak the language fluently. He does not share the customs of the people around him. No matter how much he tries to blend in, he always feels like a stranger. And those who belong to that land sense it too. They treat him differently, sometimes with curiosity, sometimes with hostility, sometimes with complete disregard, because they know he is not one of them. That is you. You are a traveler here. This world is not your home. So why do you keep seeking approval from people who do not understand you? Why do you keep trying to earn love from those who do not know how these are? Why do you keep expecting fairness in a place that has never valued truth? You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to rise above. And that is why your soul aches the way it does. It is not searching for success, wealth, or human validation. It is searching for something that cannot be found in this temporary world. The pain you feel is not the end of your story, it is the proof that your story is bigger than you can see. It is why you have always felt different. It is why you struggle to find true peace in things that others chase so easily. It is why the people who hurt you the most are often the ones you have loved the deepest. It is why you have felt unseen, unheard, forgotten. Because the world does not recognize those who were never meant to belong to it. But hear me now, you are not forgotten. You are not lost. And you are not alone. The struggles you face are not because you are unworthy, but because you are destined for something beyond this place. You are being prepared for eternity. And so, if you have ever felt out of place, if you have ever wondered why life seems so unfair, if you have ever questioned why your heart longs for something more, then listen closely. You feel an unshakable loneliness even in crowds. There are moments when you find yourself surrounded by people, family, friends, co-workers, yet a deep silence lingers within you. It is a silence no conversation can break, no laughter can fill, and no presence can comfort. You try to shake it off, convincing yourself that you are simply overthinking, that perhaps you just need to be more social, more engaged, more involved. But no matter how hard you try, the feeling never truly leaves. It follows you like a shadow that stretches far beyond your reach, reminding you that you are different, that something within you does not belong here. You see others so effortlessly content with their lives. They talk about things that seem meaningless to you: gossip, material gains, fleeting pleasures. They chase after relationships that lack depth. They celebrate successes that seem hollow, and they build their lives around things that will one day turn to dust. And while they seem happy in their ignorance, you cannot force yourself to live the same way. You cannot silence the longing within your soul that whispers, "This is not enough. This is not home." And so you find yourself alone. Even in the midst of a crowd, even with people who claim to love you, even when surrounded by those who should understand you the most, you feel unseen, unheard, unnoticed. You pour out your heart, but people only listen at the surface. You share your struggles, but they dismiss them as just another passing thought. They tell you to be grateful, to be happy, to simply move on. But how do you explain to someone who does not feel it? How do you describe the weight of a longing that has no words? So you keep it to yourself. You laugh when others laugh. You speak when necessary. You nod and smile in conversations where your heart feels absent. And yet, deep inside, you wonder if anyone truly sees you, if anyone truly understands, if anyone can even begin to grasp the weight of what you carry. But my friend, this loneliness is not a punishment. It is not an accident. It is a sign. Have you considered that perhaps you feel out of place because you were never meant to belong here? That the loneliness in your soul is not because something is missing in your life, but because your soul is yearning for something beyond this life. What if the people around you do not understand you because you are speaking the language of eternity in a world that only knows the language of the temporary? This world does not recognize those who are called to something greater. It embraces those who conform, who blend in, who accept the illusion as reality. But you, your soul resists. It aches because it remembers. It remembers that it was made for more. It remembers that it was created for something eternal, something unshakable, something beyond the reach of human hands. And so you wander through life, feeling like a stranger in a place that was never meant to be your home. The loneliness you carry is not a weakness. It is proof of your true identity. It is the whisper of eternity calling you back, reminding you that you were never meant to settle for less than what your soul was created for. 2. You are not satisfied by earthly success. You have worked hard. You have given your all. You have done everything the world told you to do: study, strive, achieve. You have chased after success, believing that once you reached that milestone, once you finally got that position, that recognition, that wealth, then you would feel fulfilled. But here you are, and the emptiness remains. The world teaches us that success is the highest goal, that the more we have, the happier we will be. And so we push ourselves to the limit, sacrificing sleep, relationships, peace just to climb higher, to prove ourselves, to silence the doubt that whispers, "Maybe I am not enough." But no matter how much you achieve, there is always something missing. No promotion, no title, no amount of wealth ever fills the space inside of you. You look around and see others celebrating their success. They seem content. They flaunt their achievements. They measure their worth in numbers and possessions. And yet you wonder, why does it not feel the same for you? Why, after all this effort, do you still feel like something is missing? Because, my friend, you were never meant to find your fulfillment in the things of this world. You see, the world offers success, but it does not offer peace. It offers recognition, but it does not offer purpose. It offers temporary joy, but it does not offer lasting fulfillment. And so, even when you reach the top, the hunger remains. The emptiness lingers. You keep setting new goals, keep chasing the next achievement, keep telling yourself that the next success will be different. But deep inside, you know the truth. You were made for something greater than what this world can give. The reason nothing ever feels like enough is because your soul is not wired for temporary things. It is wired for eternity. And when you try to feed an eternal soul with temporary success, it will always hunger for more. The world will tell you that the answer is to strive harder, to accumulate more, to never stop chasing. But that is the greatest deception of all, because what if the answer is not found in more, but in something beyond? What if the dissatisfaction you feel is not failure, but an invitation? An invitation to step out of the cycle of empty achievements and into something that truly matters. What if your soul is rejecting the things of this world because it remembers that it was never meant to settle for them? You have felt it, haven't you? The exhaustion of chasing things that do not last. The frustration of watching your achievements fade into the background, forgotten by a world that only values the next big thing. The longing for something deeper, something real, something that does not vanish like mist in the morning sun. That longing is your soul's way of telling you that you were not made for this world. You were made for eternity. You experienced deep injustice and unfair treatment. There is nothing more heartbreaking than pouring your heart into something or someone, only to be met with betrayal, rejection, or outright injustice. You give your best, you remain honest, you treat others with kindness, yet the world repays you with coldness, indifference, or worse, cruelty. And the pain cuts even deeper because you know you don't deserve it. You have watched others take shortcuts and rise faster than you. You have seen people manipulate their way to the top while you struggled, playing fair. You have witnessed those who lie, cheat, and deceive receive applause, while you, with your honest heart, are left behind. You try to do what is right. You try to stay on the path of truth. But again and again, life seems to favor those who abandon morals, while those who hold on to integrity suffer. And so you ask, why? Why does it always seem like the good ones are the ones who get hurt the most? Why do I feel like I'm being punished for doing the right thing? Why does the world treat me like I don't belong? But my friend, that is precisely the truth. You don't belong. This world is not built for the pure-hearted. It rewards deception because it is temporary. It honors those who serve themselves because selfishness is its currency. But you, your soul, was never meant for this world. That is why it feels so unjust. That is why every betrayal wounds you deeper. That is why no matter how much good you do, it often feels like the world refuses to recognize it. Because you were never meant to find justice in a world that thrives on injustice. But you know what's even more powerful? The fact that despite all of this, you still refuse to become like them. You have every reason to grow bitter, to give up, to play their games, yet something inside you resists. Something in you refuses to let go of your values, refuses to betray your heart, just to get ahead. That is not weakness, that is proof. Proof that you are different. Proof that you are not like them. Proof that you are made for something greater than this fleeting, broken world. It may not feel like it now, but the very fact that you have suffered injustice is a sign of your true nature. Those who belong to this world move through it with ease, but those who are destined for something beyond its struggle, they feel the weight of its brokenness, they see the unfairness, they taste the bitterness, because their souls were never made to live by this world's rules. So when the world treats you unfairly, don't let it break you. When it refuses to acknowledge your worth, don't let it make you doubt yourself. You are not unseen, you are not forgotten, and you are not meant to conform to a world that was never built for your spirit. Your heart remains troubled by injustice because it was created for something higher, something eternal. You crave truth in a world that loves lies. Look around you. Everywhere you turn, deception rules. People are obsessed with appearances rather than authenticity. They would rather believe a comfortable lie than face a difficult truth. The world runs on falsehoods, false happiness, false promises, false versions of success, even false love. And yet, despite all of this, your soul longs for something real, something true. You cannot ignore deception when you see it. You cannot pretend to be blind to the lies the world is built upon. While others go through life content with illusions, something inside you refuses to be satisfied. You see through the masks. You recognize the emptiness behind the smiles. You hear the insincerity in their words. And because of this, you suffer. Because when you seek truth in a world that thrives on lies, you will always feel like an outcast. You will be questioned. You will be ridiculed. You will be labeled difficult, too serious, or too sensitive. People will accuse you of overthinking, of making life harder than it needs to be. They will tell you to just go along with things, to accept things as they are, to stop searching so deeply. But you cannot. Because your soul was never made to settle for lies. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable people become when you ask real questions? When you challenge a false belief? When you refuse to accept things at face value? They grow defensive. They push back. They would rather silence you than confront the reality that their entire lives are built on fragile illusions. But you were never meant to live in darkness. That is why deception troubles you. That is why you can feel when something is off, even when others seem oblivious. That is why, no matter how much the world tries to force its version of truth upon you, something in you rejects it. The world does not love those who see through its illusions. It does not welcome those who refuse to be fooled. It would rather you stay asleep, stay comfortable, stay compliant. But your soul cannot. It knows there is something more, something greater, something beyond the shallow existence the world offers. And so you live with this tension, this conflict between what is and what should be, this deep, unshakable yearning for truth in a world that does everything to hide it. But do not let this struggle discourage you. The reason you seek truth so desperately is because your soul remembers it. It recognizes that it was not made for deception, for artificial happiness, for meaningless pursuits. It was made for eternity. And that is why you will never be satisfied with anything less. When the world tells you to stop questioning, keep searching. When it tries to make you feel out of place, remember you are out of place. Not because you are lost, but because you were never meant to belong here in the first place. You were made for something far beyond what this world can offer. You struggle with the temporary nature of life. Have you ever felt like time is slipping through your fingers, like everything around you is fading before you can truly grasp it? You watch the seasons change, people grow older, and moments that once felt eternal now seem like distant memories. There is an uneasiness that settles in your heart, the realization that nothing in this world lasts. You see others embracing life as if it will never end, chasing after things that will one day vanish: wealth, fame, admiration. They celebrate achievements that will be forgotten, build empires that time will eventually crumble, and place their hopes in things that will not follow them beyond the grave. And yet, while they seem content in their ignorance, you cannot shake the feeling that all of this is temporary. Perhaps you have found yourself questioning, what is the point of it all? If everything we work for, everything we love, everything we hold dear is destined to fade, then why do we chase it so desperately? Why do we pour our energy into things that will not last? You try to express these thoughts to others, but they dismiss you. They tell you to live in the moment, to stop overthinking, to just enjoy life. But how do you enjoy something that feels so fragile? How do you put your heart into a world that slips away the moment you begin to understand it? This is why you often feel disconnected from those around you. While others build their lives around the temporary, your soul craves something lasting. You are searching for something permanent in a world that was never meant to be. And that is why you struggle. Look at the things people value: money, status, attention. These are the things that drive them, the things they sacrifice their time, their relationships, even their own integrity for. But have you ever noticed how quickly these things disappear? A wealthy man can lose everything in a single moment. A celebrity adored by millions today can be forgotten tomorrow. A person who once had power can find themselves powerless overnight. And no matter how much we try to hold on to youth, to keep things the same, time marches forward, erasing everything in its path. You see this clearly. You see the foolishness of chasing what will not last. And yet, no matter how much you try to ignore it, the weight of time presses on you. You wonder, if nothing in this world is permanent, then what am I even doing here? But my friend, do you not see? This struggle is not a burden. It is a sign. The reason the temporary nature of life troubles you is because you were never meant to be satisfied by it. Your soul was created for eternity. That is why you cannot embrace this fleeting world the way others do. That is why you find yourself staring at the sky, wondering what exists beyond what you can see. That is why no amount of success, no amount of pleasure, no amount of earthly joy ever truly fills you. And yet, this world tries to convince you that it is enough. It offers distractions, entertainment, pleasure, ambition, hoping you will lose yourself in them, hoping you will forget the truth that lingers just beneath the surface. It wants you to accept the temporary, to settle for less than what your soul was designed for. But you cannot. Because no matter how much you try, no matter how much you accomplish, there is always that whisper inside you, reminding you that none of this is what you are truly searching for. Have you ever watched someone chase after something, believing it will bring them happiness, only to find that when they finally get it, they still feel empty? The person who believes that once they have money they will finally be at peace, only to realize that wealth does not quiet the soul. The one who believes that if they just get enough recognition, enough admiration, they will feel worthy, only to discover that applause fades and admiration is fickle. You see these things happening all around you, and yet the world keeps running, refusing to acknowledge the truth, because to accept that nothing in this world lasts is to accept that there must be something beyond it. And that is where your struggle comes from. You feel this tension between the temporary and the eternal. You walk through life with an awareness that others do not seem to have. You recognize the fragility of everything, and it unsettles you. But my friend, do not mistake this awareness as a weakness. It is not meant to make you feel lost. It is meant to remind you of who you truly are. You are not like those who are satisfied with the temporary. You cannot pretend that life is only about what is seen. Your soul was created for something greater, something unshakable, something beyond the limits of time. And that is why you feel the way you do. So when you find yourself overwhelmed by the fleeting nature of this world, when you struggle to invest your heart in things that will not last, remember this is not a flaw. This is a sign that your heart was never meant to settle for anything less than eternity. You are drawn to things beyond this life. There is something in you that has always felt different. While others immerse themselves in the distractions of this world, chasing success, relationships, and fleeting pleasures, you find yourself drawn to something deeper, something beyond what the eyes can see. It is not that you do not appreciate life, it is that you cannot shake the feeling that this life is not all there is. You have looked at the stars and wondered what lies beyond them. You have stood in the quiet of the night, feeling as though something unseen is watching over you, calling you, whispering to your soul. You have questioned the meaning of existence in ways that others seem to ignore, while they live for the next achievement, the next thrill, the next temporary happiness. Your heart aches for something greater, something eternal. But the world does not understand people like you. They tell you to just enjoy life. They dismiss your thoughts as overcomplicated, as unnecessary. They ask why you cannot simply be satisfied with what is in front of you, why you are always searching, always wondering, always reaching for something more. But how do you explain a longing that has no words? How do you make someone understand a hunger they have never felt? Because this is not about curiosity. This is not about a passing interest in philosophy or religion. This is about something far deeper. It is about the feeling you get when you stare at the vastness of the sky and realize how small you are. It is about the way your heart aches when you hear a song that touches something ancient inside of you. It is about the unshakable sense that you are connected to something greater, something beyond this fragile world. And yet, for most of your life, you have felt alone in this awareness. You watch as people go about their lives focused only on what they can gain, what they can control, what they can see. They spend their days consumed by worries that do not matter in the grand scheme of things. They fight over money, over status, over temporary victories. And while they do this, you sit there watching, wondering, don't they see? Don't they realize how small all of this is? But they do not see, because they are attached to this world. Their hearts are tied to what is temporary, while yours is drawn to what is eternal. You feel it, don't you? That pull. That quiet voice that tells you there is more than this, that you are not created to simply exist and die. It is why no earthly pleasure truly satisfies you. It is why no amount of success ever feels like enough. It is why even in your happiest moments, there is still a whisper inside you that says, there. And this longing, it is not something you chose. It is something that has always been there, something you have carried since childhood. Maybe you have tried to ignore it, tried to live like everyone else, tried to silence the voice inside you that calls you to something beyond this world. But no matter how much you try to distract yourself, it never truly goes away. Because it was never meant to. This longing is not a mistake. It is not an inconvenience. It is a sign. It is the evidence that your soul does not belong to this world. There is a reason why nothing in this life fully satisfies you. A reason why, no matter how much you accomplish, there is always a deeper hunger within you. A reason why you are drawn to the mysteries of life, to the things that cannot be explained, to the presence of something greater than yourself. Because your soul remembers. It remembers that it was created for eternity. It remembers that this life is not the end. It remembers that the things of this world are only shadows of something far greater. And that is why you will never be fully content with anything temporary. But this awareness comes at a cost, because the world does not like people who see beyond it. When you try to speak about these things, people will look at you as if you are strange. They will laugh at your questions, mock your desire to understand what lies beyond. They will call you unrealistic, tell you to focus on the real world, tell you to stop searching for meaning in places they cannot see. But they only say these things because they do not understand. They cannot hear what you hear. They cannot feel what you feel. They cannot see what your soul has always known to be true. And so you walk through life feeling like a stranger among your own kind. You try to connect with people, but something always feels missing. You try to embrace the temporary joys of this world, but they always fall short. And no matter how much you try to live like everyone else, your heart continues to search for something beyond what this world can offer, because your soul was never meant to stay here. It was never meant to find fulfillment in what is fleeting. It was never meant to be satisfied with things that will one day disappear. That is why you are drawn to what is beyond. That is why you find yourself staring at the sky, lost in thoughts of eternity. That is why you have always felt different, always felt separate, always felt as though you were reaching for something just beyond your grasp. Not because you are lost, but because you were never meant to settle for anything less than what you were created for. You feel like a traveler in a strange land. Have you ever walked through life feeling like you don't fully belong? Like no matter how hard you try to fit in, there's always a part of you that remains separate, watching from a distance. It is not that you dislike people or that you don't want to connect. It is that something deep within you refuses to settle into the ways of this world. You are here, yet not entirely of here. And while others seem to walk so effortlessly in sync with the world around them, you feel like a stranger, a traveler, passing through a land that was never meant to be your home. You have tried to explain this feeling to others, but they do not understand. They tell you to just live, to stop thinking so much, to enjoy life. But it is not that you do not enjoy life. It is that you cannot pretend it is all there is. While others move through life satisfied with distractions, your soul remains restless. It is as if you are always looking beyond, searching for something that cannot be found in the places people expect it to be. You watch people pour their energy into things that seem meaningless to you. They chase success as if it will give them eternal security. They crave validation from people who will forget them tomorrow. They give their hearts to things that will one day vanish like dust in the wind. And yet, despite all their striving, they never seem to question if there is more. They are comfortable here, as if this world was made for them and they were made for it. But you have never felt that way. From an early age, you sensed that something was different about you. You saw the world through different eyes. While others built their lives around what they could see, touch, and own, your heart longed for something unseen. While others sought belonging in groups and communities, you felt like an outsider, even among people you loved. You were present, yet distant, engaged, yet removed. You played along with the rhythms of this world, yet deep down, you knew you were walking to the beat of something else, something higher, something eternal. A dozen orders entirely unreal of their time. Taken, you welcome, and so you wander, not in the sense of being lost, but in the sense of never quite feeling at home. You walk through the streets, sit in rooms filled with people, share in conversations, and yet a part of you is always observing, always questioning, always feeling like you are somewhere you were not meant to stay. Have you ever gone on a long trip, spent time in a foreign place, and after days or weeks felt that longing to return home, that ache, that quiet pull reminding you that no matter how comfortable you may have become, this is not where you truly belong? That is the feeling that lingers within you every day. It is not a flaw, it is not an accident, it is a sign that your soul remembers something this world does not. The reason you feel like a traveler is because you are one. You were never meant to root yourself here, to lose yourself in the illusions of this temporary place. And that is why, no matter how much you try to embrace the world as it is, something inside you resists. You cannot force yourself to love what is fleeting. You cannot pretend that the things others chase hold the same meaning for you. And because of this, you often feel alone. You see the world differently. You question what others accept without hesitation. You feel deeply in ways that others do not seem to understand, and at times, you wonder if something is wrong with you, if you are too different, too detached. But the truth is, you are not distant at all. You are simply awake. You are aware of something greater, something beyond what this world offers. You sense eternity in a way that others do not, and because of that, you cannot settle here. You cannot find comfort in a world that was never meant to be your final destination. And so You carry this longing, a longing for something that feels like home, a longing for a place where your soul feels at rest, a longing for something unshakable, something permanent, something real. And it does not go away. No matter how much success you achieve, no matter how many people surround you, no matter how much you try to distract yourself, the feeling remains. That quiet knowing in the depths of your being that says, I was made for more than this. But this longing, this ache, is not a burden, it is a gift. It is a constant reminder that your soul was never meant to be satisfied with anything temporary, that you were created for something beyond this fleeting world, that no matter how much you try to fit in, you will always feel a little out of place here. And that is not something to fear, that is something to embrace, because those who belong to this world will be content with it. They will settle into its ways, chase its treasures, root themselves in its comforts. But you were never meant to stay here. You were meant to pass through, to walk this journey with the understanding that your true home is not found in this world, but beyond it. And so you will continue walking. You will continue feeling like a traveler, like an observer, like a soul passing through a place that does not fully understand you. Not because you are lost, but because you were never meant to stay. You have felt it all your life. The disconnect, the longing, the quiet ache that whispers to you in moments of stillness. You have tried to ignore it, to silence it, to live like everyone else. But no matter how much you try, the truth remains. You were never made for this world. You have walked through life feeling like an outsider, like a traveler passing through a place that does not understand you. You have searched for meaning in success, in relationships, in the things that others chase so easily, only to find that nothing ever truly satisfies you. And at times you have questioned yourself, wondered if something was wrong with you, if you were too different, too distant, too detached. But my friend, there is nothing wrong with you. The longing you feel is not a curse. It is a sign that your soul remembers something this world has forgotten, a sign that you were never meant to settle for what is temporary, a sign that your heart was made for eternity. That is why you struggle. That is why you feel the weight of injustice. That is why you search for truth when others accept lies. That is why no success, no recognition, no earthly comfort has ever been enough. Because you were never meant to be satisfied here. You were never meant to belong to this world. So do not be discouraged by the loneliness. Do not let the unfairness of life harden you. Do not mistake your longing for something greater as a weakness. It is proof of who you truly are. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are simply awake. And that awareness, the unshakable knowing that this world will never be enough, is not something to fear, it is something to embrace. Because one day the ache will make sense. One day the longing will lead you home. One day you will look back on this life and realize that every moment of struggle, every unanswered question, every restless night was simply a reminder that you were always meant for something more. You are not made for this world. You were made for eternity.